Dang it, Jeremy. Hey, internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Kids on Bikes. Welcome to Paradise, Michigan. This is episode 3, Choose Your Own Adventure. And yes, we're getting a little bit of a late start. We apologize for that. We had some pretty wild tech issues at the start, but we think we got those all settled up. I'm going to go ahead, speaking of settling things up, we had some bits donated, which means I need to turn this on, and then we're gonna eat up some of those. Oh, geez, now the volume comes through. I was just saying how you couldn't hear those.
It's my favorite.
You can hear them in the audience. Now we can hear them.
Yes.
Yes. So keep those coming in. We'll get some domain pops. Terrain Treats domain pops. They're +1 to fun.
Yeah.
Only you, the viewers, and apparently the players, can give this group the domain pops by tipping $5, cheering 500 bits, or subscribing, resubscribing, gifting subs, all that good stuff. During our live game here, we'll earn them domain pops that currently they can use as adversity tokens. And then eventually there will be other options for those as well. We're going to go ahead and get into the game in just a quick moment, do a little bit of a recap, and then we'll get into the game proper. Because of our late start, I'm just going to remind you that you can tune in on Monday nights to get Scribes and Scrolls, which is now a Pathfinder 2nd edition adventure. And we're continuing on with all of the same characters, some of the same. It's new, it's the same, it's different, but it's not. Come by, check it out. You'll see what we mean. And then we just had last night, and the VOD will be up this weekend, our second episode of Lawlerville, the amazing original Call of Cthulhu scenario, created and run by our own Ricky Wells. Just phenomenal storytelling, and an amazing group of players in that game as well. Of course, our Kids on Bikes on every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then starting in May, we are going to have a brand new Pathfinder adventure, Sky Metal Iron Gods, with some of the individuals that were in Avernus, as well as that's going to be game mastered by Vi. And M is joining us as part of that adventure as well. I'll be a player in that, and that will be every other Tuesday. So lots of good stuff going on. So be sure to check that out. And then, the last thing I want to mention before we get started is just a reminder that you matter. Whether you believe it or not, your presence on this earth makes a difference. There's a lot of reasons why all of us could be struggling, but we want you to know that you do not ever have to struggle alone. There is help out there. One of the biggest challenges can sometimes be finding out who to talk to or how to find somebody. All you got to do is type !help in our chat, as Jeremy has just done. A couple URLs will pop up. findahelpline.com. Go there. It's free. Type in where you're located in the world. Hit enter, and a bunch of services will pop up that are near where you are located. Or you can check out takethis.org's growing list of resources. Visit those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I think it's time to go back to 1980 something to Paradise, Michigan.
Woohoo!
Let's see. So
it's a little lonely on the bottom row. Just gonna throw that out there.
Our kids on bikes were all introduced recently to Paradise, Michigan. all coming from different places within the state and within the country to visit their grandparents at Twilight Grove Senior Living Community. They are staying with their grandparents for the summer in the Lakeshore town of Paradise, Michigan. On their first day in town, they have had an encounter with a mysterious all-black muscle car, a rather dickish sheriff's deputy. They found out and were accused by said deputy for having something to do with some graves that were dug up at the local cemetery. Of course, screaming their innocence, they immediately went to the scene of the crime to investigate the thing for which they were accused, finding along the way a very friendly cat that Jessica has all but adopted for her own, and has, in the course of just a couple hours, has given the cat about 5 different names. While investigating the grave sites at the one church, the Pleasant Waters Protestant Church, you met Pastor Andy Hill, who emerged from the mysterious door at the bottom of the grave, saying that it led from a tunnel underneath the church. Talked to you guys a little bit, gave you some snacks and some grape juice and whatnot, and sent you on your way. You all began riding around town, just seeing some of the different buildings and sites, and as you approached an intersection growing closer to the lakeshore near the bookstore Pages, the cat, who I believe most recently was named Fluffy, jumped out of Jessica's basket and ran through a small cat door in the front of the bookstore. Of course, Jessica immediately headed into the shop. The rest of you followed suit. As you walked in, you see this. You immediately entered into this area of a Pages bookstore that is a very lightly lit place with swag lamps hanging from the ceiling, providing some of the only illumination other than what comes in through the front window. There are bookshelves, racks of magazines and comics, but most notably, there is, in the center section of the store, there are 3 high wingback chairs with 3 older women who look to be roughly in their 40s, though it's hard for you to know for sure how old they are. They have some tea amongst them. At least one of them looks to have been crocheting. Another one's doing Sudoku. I never remember.
Sudoku.
That weird number puzzle. One of them's doing, I don't know, did they have Sudoku, whatever it is back then? Yes. But anyway, the other thing of note within Pages bookstore is there are cats everywhere. Cats of all shapes and sizes, lounging all over the place. And Fluffy has run to the woman in the middle who, as the cat sits upon her lap, she looks up as Jessica, you come running into the shop and sort of stop, and the rest of the kids come running in behind you, and she looks up at you from petting the cat and says, "Oh, hello. You must be Jessica."
Yep, she says as she's like looking at the cat and like proceeds to blow like a very pink bubble of the bubble gum. Oh my god.
And these are your friends?
Yeah, she says as she like looks over to them.
About that.
So, what brings you to our quaint little bookshop?
Well, we followed the cat, as she like points to the cat that she's petting.
Ah, yes, Norm. Oh, wait, no. Is it Fluffy now?
You know, I was thinking he looks more like a Snuffles.
And she kind of cocks her head at you, and as she does so, the cat also cocks its head at you. She looks the other way, and the cat turns its head the other way.
Okay.
She looks down at the cat, and she takes the little tag on its collar and kind of runs her thumb over it. And you can see that it says Snuffles. Oh, you must be right.
Whoa.
You have a lot of cats.
Well, and as she says this, the woman sitting to your right, she looks up from her puzzle over her glasses and says, "Some would say too damn many cats." And she goes back to her puzzle, and the woman on the other side just kind of goes, "Yes, we have a lot of cats, but some would say the cats have us. We don't so much own the cats as the cats are, well, nobody really owns cats, you know."
Yeah. Ugh.
So, all of you, first day in paradise, huh?
Yeah.
You said that there were comet. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go. You go. Rosie's standing very still, like in the middle of this place, like she's afraid to get anything like dirty. She's not comfortable.
Yeah, I think Laz might have been like standing near the door, probably next to Rosie, but completely disinterested until he spotted the comics. You mentioned there were comic books, Jake.
Yep.
If he notices those, he's going to not real excitedly, but inwardly he might be a little excited. He's going to kind of slowly make his way over there, pretending like he's interested in other things along the way until he gets to the place where all the comic books are kept. He's going to start perusing those.
Yeah, there's a section, so as a reminder, they're sort of where some bookstores might put like a collection of bestsellers or something to draw your attention. That's where these three women sit. To the left is sort of facing into the store is a wooden counter, and it has the cash register on it and a few things behind it. And then just past that on the left hand side are a couple really tight together, but a couple of these sort of these shelves that are sort of from the side, they're angled like this with rows of comics cascading on either side. And it's not a huge collection, but they have quite a few comics there. And there's even boxes of comic boxes, long boxes underneath. And all the comics, as you walk over there, you see all of the comic books are bagged and boarded.
As Rosie follows Laz with her eyes, as soon as she sees that there are comics, she's sort of been like overwhelmed by this sight of this place. And as soon as she sees the comics, she's like, "Kick ass!" And she goes over and she starts to also look at the comics, and she just goes very eagerly.
Cool.
You read comics?
Yes. Have you found any Superman over here?
No, I don't read Superman. Batman, okay, maybe we could talk, but Superman.
That's adorable. Rosie's looking desperately for Superman comics.
You, without having to make any kind of rolls at all, the first things you find are, of course, a lot of the current runs of both DC and Marvel comics. I'm not a big comic historian, so I don't remember what all was when. But there's definitely some DC. There's some Marvel. There's some Dark Horse, Image comics. I don't remember if they came out in the 80s or 90s, but
Cool.
and a lot of it seems to be some of the latest issues. There's just a lot of what you would expect, with a few back issues along the way, and there's a lot of little independents, and one row has kind of mixed in with the comics, alphabetized, but there's a whole section of Heavy Metal magazine, and next to that kind of that same comic rack, there's a rack with a bunch of magazines, and that's where you're going to find your Fangoria and your Starlog magazine, Model Railroader, all of those niche hobby type magazines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Laz shoots a kind of a somewhat surprised look of appreciation towards these three old biddies that are in the middle of the room. He was not expecting there to be this many current runs available.
You hear on the other side, I imagine this is almost like a very cinematic shot with Laz on one side of this display and Rosie on the other side, really looking intently, and Laz trying his best to look bored. And Rosie is like, oh, sweet. And she finds like the most recent Superman, and she grabs it immediately, and she starts digging in her backpack for money. And she would eventually go up to these ladies and be like, can I, do I pay here? Is there like a register?
There's, when you turn around, the cash register is...
Asking them.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, side note, Rosie's voice is apparently just me. I don't have any fun accents.
Well, that's the fun part about being from Michigan.
Right. It's just this.
Sorry, I was trying to be accurate, and I can't remember. I can't find a freaking. My Google's failing me. I was trying to see how much the comics would have been back then, in 1980 something. They probably would have been about $1.
99 cents to $1.50.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
So,
if this is in plastic, we'll say $1.50. Rosie has that.
and yeah, one of the women just says, $1.50. Just set it on the counter, dear.
And I do.
While Rosie is paying for hers, Laz is actually going to take this this particular issue of Ninja Turtles that he's found, and he is just going to kind of tuck it into the back of his pants under his shirt.
Thank you, Laz, for doing exactly what I thought you would do.
Oh my god.
So, sorry, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that.
Yep, absolutely.
Can I I'll step in here then, I think. And just as you feel like something behind you, Laz, and you see that it's Oak. It's just
oh god.
looking at you and looking at your shirt. It's like, you're into Star Wars too? I was gonna look and see if they got Star Wars comics, but I was gonna wait for you to finish.
Yeah.
Quick question. Jedi or Sith?
Oh.
Darth Vader, all the way. All the way.
I figured. But I just, you're really cool, man. I just wanted to tell you, I think you're really cool.
Oh.
Thanks, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah, anyways, I'm done. You can, do whatever you gotta do.
no, it's cool. But y'all, you found the turtles comic, didn't you?
No, I didn't find nothing I was looking
No,
for.
you found
What are
one.
you talking about?
Where are they though?
Where's the comic books? They're right here.
No,
Do you need like a stool or?
no, Laz, I'm fine. Thank you though, but
Look,
we'll
they're
talk
on the
later.
other side, over there. They're behind the Wonder Woman.
Thank you. And he'll go over there, and you can just see he's like beaming with like wanting to be your friend. Like he's just gravitating to wanting to be your friend.
That is so cute.
Laz is not used to that kind of like positive attention at all. It makes him like totally uncomfortable.
And he'll like pick up a couple of cool things. Like I imagine, I think Star Wars was a comic book run at the time.
Star Wars was an everything. That was half of the magic, the merch.
Yeah, so I imagine there's some Star Wars comics. There's probably some early run Turtles comics and some stuff, and he'll just gather up a bunch, and then you see him like dart off to another corner, and it's in like the non-fiction section, the like history and like studies section, and you see him grab a single book from that side.
So as you head over there, you would notice that there is a section dedicated to Paradise, Michigan, and as well as Michigan in particular. Well, so it's like a bunch of Michigan-based books, and then there's like a shelf that's Paradise, Michigan. But there's like a whole thing, nonfiction section with history and lore, Native American history, and things to do with Michigan.
He'll grab whatever, like if he can grab pamphlets, like small little side books or whatever, he'll grab those because he has no idea where he's at.
So
and then
I'm gonna say, Oak, that there is in this section, remember those stand-up wire racks that would have like paperbacks or comic books? There's one of those that has a bunch of brochures for places not just in Paradise, but Sleeping Bear Dunes, Traverse City, Mackinac Island, the Leelanau Peninsula.
Grab as many as I can,
and they're all free.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that because of this, I'm going to make a note of this. You get a +1 whenever there's any kind of a check related to trying to find a location or know something about a location specific to Michigan.
Okay, very cool. I'm down.
Now, before we go to figure out what Coop's doing, and Jessica and Billy, Laz, thanks to Oak, the DC is going up a little bit for drawing attention to that little section there. I'm thinking, now I'm willing to hear if you have a different idea, Laz. But I'm thinking your charm skill is what would in part come into play here, because it involves being able to read people, and it's not so much about the fast fingers as it is about finding that right moment to be able to do this. But I'm also going to have you add your flight modifier, because you are trying to do this quickly. Once you see that opportunity, so you're actually going to use 2 skills. You're going to make a roll, and you're going to add both your charm, you're going to roll your charm die, and you're going to roll your flight die.
Okay. Those are my 2 worst.
What do you? So one's a D4 and one's a D6.
Yep. Charm is a D4. Flight is a D6. But I have a +1 to flight because I'm a teen. So.
And I'm going to tell you, because Oak came over there and sort of drew attention, the DC jumped from 10 to 12. So it sounds like, do you have a bonus in either of those? Because you're a teen.
I do have a +1 in flight because I'm a teen.
Okay. So it sounds like you need one of these dice to explode in order to make this.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Now, I will say, this is a prime example because you're trying to do something, and you know you're already at a disadvantage. This is where adversity tokens come in because they give you a +1 to your roll.
What does
And you
the
just earned another
rebellious
one thanks
strength
to
do?
the rebellious strength.
Yeah.
So
It's
the
also something
rebellious
that can happen
strength,
as a team.
add +3 to rolls when persuading or resisting persuasion from children. Add +3 to rolls when resisting persuasion from adults. So this wouldn't really apply here because you're not directly, interacting with them.
Okay.
So yeah,
okay.
I did need to, thanks to
One last reach then to throw past you. You said in our backpack that we could keep things that were like concepts.
yes,
And one of the concepts I have written down is tenacity. So I don't know if maybe that could apply here. Again, just floating it out there.
describe to me how you're applying your tenaciousness to your tenacity to swipe this comic book.
The fact that I'm standing probably 10 feet away from 3 people.
Gutsy. It's gutsy.
Just hoping that they don't see me.
Okay, I'll give you a +1.
All right. So +2 total.
So you're rolling a d6,
I
a
will-
d4, and you have a total of +2.
I will go ahead and cash in one of my adversity tokens as well. I have 2 of them. So
Okay, so you're gonna use one of your own.
Yeah.
Also,
so that's a +3.
yeah, and because this is an isolated check, nobody else could help you. I think that went without saying.
Sure,
Normally, if other
that
people
makes
are
sense.
around, or if somebody was trying to help you, they could shift you some adversity tokens.
So I rolled a 1 on both dice.
Oh no!
Ooh. Well,
So what
that's-
is your
So
total?
that's a negative expression?
So your total is 4, which means you missed the DC by 8.
Ooh, they're calling the cops.
Oh,
Buck,
no.
buck, buck. We don't know him.
The failure is bad, but not a disaster. There will be some short-term consequences that might lead to some immediate difficulties, but nothing that the character can't handle if they focus on them. The character's tried to do or has been forced to do something beyond their capabilities, and not surprisingly, they've failed.
Hurt me, Jake.
So, as you how are you attempting to? What are you doing when you're attempting to swipe this comic book?
So I imagine that I have. It's summertime.
It's
Oh, yeah.
it's like
So it's
May
probably not
1st.
really cold outside at all. Yeah. Maybe I have like a flannel or something that I have like tied around my waist, like the arms, the sleeves of it kind of tied in a knot in the front. And he's basically just gonna try to push this boarded comic book down into like the back of his pants and pull that flannel up high enough to kind of cover the top of it.
As you're reaching around to slide this comic book, you glancing around and seeing where Oak is gone and seeing where everybody else is and seeing the ladies sort of preoccupied, you catch sight, perched up on top of a shelf, looking directly at you, are two cats. One is gray, and one is white, and they are both looking down at you judgmentally. One of them has a slightly they're actually, these cats are long-haired Persians, and one of them has a sort of rounded face, and the other one has a little bit of a longer face, and they are just looking down at you. They're even though they have this gray and white fur, the shadows or something about it almost makes it look like they're wearing like tuxedos or something. They're looking down at you, much in the way Waldorf and Statler would look down at you. In fact, I'm just going to give it to you. You can see their tags hanging from their collars. They say Waldorf and Statler.
Yes!
Perfect.
But while you are distracted by looking at these cats, you didn't see the short-haired tabby with black and white splotches and has a markings that almost looks like a mustache that leaps down from on top of a shelf right onto the back of your neck between your shoulder blades, grabbing on with its claws to hold on, and starting to slip down and causing you to completely drop the comic that you were trying to hide. And the cat, as it grabs hold and sort of starts to slide back, it scrambles up and over your head, it letting out a screeching meow, causing pretty much everybody's eyes to turn towards you. And the comic book, the TMNT comic book that's now laying at your feet.
Damn it.
What do you do?
He's screaming, shit, trying to pull this cat off of him. Just basically, if you can get a hold of any part of it, basically just kind of like yeeting it across the room
Yeet!
from him.
Yeah, it's fine.
And yet he kind of turns around, like checking on his shirt and seeing if he's bleeding, and kind of realizes that it's gotten quiet, and then looks up and sees everybody else, and kind of, in his avoidance of trying to meet eye contact with anybody, his eyes fall to the comic that's now kind of laying in plain view in front of everyone.
Rosie looks disgusted, and she just goes, "Nice."
The one of the ladies who was doing the puzzle, looking over her glasses, looks over at you and just says, "That was Burt Reynolds. There's one thing Burt Reynolds knows, is he knows a bandit when he sees one. Make sure when you put that magazine back, that comic book back in the rack, that you put it alphabetically where it belongs."
It just dropped it on the ground. I was trying to get out of the way for him. He indicates oak. I didn't want this stupid thing.
Rosie's carefully tucking her comic into her backpack.
The one that she paid for.
Yes.
Coop, what are you doing during all of this?
So Coop had slowly been walking along the outer edge by where all of the bookshelves are, and just kind of doing the scan, just to kind of like read all of the, just skimming the book spines, right? And he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's a lot of history. Okay, and then what's over here? Maybe I should ask where the rocks are." And that's when Laz does his thing and screams, and the cat screams, and then Coop screams. Because he's been doing it.
Like, the cat flies past Coop.
Because Coop also all this time has been doing his best to try to avoid cats. Like they're trying to like get up on his legs, and he's like, no, kitty, no, please, no.
And Coop, as you were thinking, so you were thinking about rocks
Rock books.
And rock books.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment this happens, and of course, just as this happens, and you're trying to avoid where it seems like every shelf you look at, there's a cat perched on a shelf, there's a cat perched behind a planter, or walking around on the floor, rubbing up against people's legs, whatever. There is the scream of the cat, the scream of Laz, everybody looking, and the cat that was on the shelf nearby you just suddenly scrambles. It does a little bit of a as its feet can't quite get a purchase on the wood, and its back leg kicks one of the books, and it spins off the shelf and drops at your feet. And as Laz is getting chastised, you see lying at your feet is a book that is Great Lakes geology, rocks, or whatever. You got a book there. What's it called? Rocks and Minerals. There you go.
Rocks and Minerals. Wow.
Cool. And it's only $1.
And it's only $1.
Wow.
When was that book published?
The 70s.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
There's actually, I was looking through this earlier, there's a fun little section about asbestos and how helpful it is.
Oh, good. Yes.
So it aged well. That's what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jessica, what are you doing during all this?
Jessica is like asking a bunch of questions. And she's like pretending to look bored, but also like, so she'll just like be quiet for a few seconds and like looking around, smacking her gum. And then she's like, so how many cats do you think you have?
Depending on the day, anywhere between 25 and 35.
Did you name all of them?
It's not so much that we named them as the name just sort of came to them. And as you've seen, some of them, they just take the name that's given to them.
But like, where did they come from?
How old are
Like,
you?
there's a lot of
15,
cats
16?
here.
You're like, what, 15, 16?
I'm
So you're in high
16.
school, right?
Mm.
So I'm assuming that you probably have had health class, and hopefully your mother and or father has taught you about the birds and the bees and reproduction and...
She like scrunches her nose and she's like, ew. Ew. She
If you're
like
You asked. I mean, that's
No.
where the cats come from.
I mean, like, I haven't seen any cats around anywhere else except for here, and it just doesn't seem like people really like the cats. So I'm just wondering where they came from. Gosh.
Well, you saw Snuffles out by your grandparents' house, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you have come here, and you see all of the cats here. If you keep your eyes open, I'm sure you'll see more cats. Cats are really good at hiding, not being seen unless they want to be seen.
But, like, the people here don't really like them.
Who doesn't like cats? Who's been talking?
It was the pastor, right? Who we heard that from, who was like, ew.
It was the stoner gravedigger
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
What was his name again?
Simon.
Simon.
Steven, I think that's what his name was.
Spicoli.
Some people are dog people, some people are cat people, some people are bird people. Everybody has their own things that they're interested in. Not everybody likes everything.
Yeah, but he was saying that the cats knew, like, our secrets.
Oh, yes, cats, and generally because they're so good at hiding and not being seen, it is an old folk tale that cats carry secrets. It's also said that a secret told between two people isn't a secret anymore.
Threatening.
Cats
She,
be
like,
snitching.
She like snaps her gum again as she's like pretending to look around. Cool. But you can tell that has like interested her, like as much as a teenage girl can be interested in something.
Listen. If you are kind to the cats, you treat them with kindness as you have done, you continue to do so. Cats can be really good companions and friends. They can really come through in a pinch.
I have a cat at home, and he's the best. My dad doesn't like him, but that's too bad. That's what my mom says also, and I agree with her. It's like the only thing we agree on.
Cats can often bring people together. I would like everyone to make I'm going to say a charm check.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Oh,
Is that just one die then, or right?
Yep, you're just
one-
rolling your charm die.
I got a 5.
Okay. Let's take a quick peek. 'Cause I forget how to do
18,
this.
baby.
Wow, Coop is so
Nice.
charming. I bet you he's getting that Rocks and Minerals book for free.
16
My,
for
on my D4 it exploded, so I got a 5 total.
Okay.
Nice.
So, Jessica, now this was less of one where there's consequences for failure. This is more of a using that ability to sort of read people and perception kind of thing. Jessica and Coop, you all notice that Billy has been very quiet during all of this.
Oh.
And you notice that Billy has sat down on, there's a little section off to one side where there's a bunch of children's books, and next to that there's like a kind of like a wooden chair that you would find in like a kindergarten or first grade class, like one of those really small chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sort of sat down, so his knees are kind of a little high on this. He's sitting on this chair, and he's just sort of absent-mindedly stroking one of the cats. And there are 3 other cats that are curled around his ankles. One is doing that thing where it's sort of weaving in and out, the tail flicking up and around, and the other 2 are just sort of curled up against, like on a table or something, so that all of these cats are really close to him. And he's just sitting there, and he's just staring blankly.
Hey, Billy, are you okay? Look at this book I found. It's all about rocks and minerals and no, seriously, are you okay? Billy?
what's wrong with him?
Boy Scout, are you tired from the trip or something?
You see his eyes blink really slowly. And then he opens his eyes. And he just sort of cocks his head as all 3 of the cats around him just go.
Oh
And look at
my
you.
God.
Coop backing up.
Coop,
Yeah.
you hear that the cat that he's petting and the other cats around him, you hear that deep, that sort of purring sound. But with that 18, you're pretty sure it sounds like Billy is also purring.
Uh-oh.
Billy, you're scaring me, man. You're scared. Can you hear that? Coop says to Jessica.
That's called purring.
It's coming from Billy. People don't purr.
Can she hear it too? Now that Coop has drawn attention to
with
it.
the attention being drawn to it, yes, absolutely.
Ew. It's a little weirder when it's coming from a person.
I told you cats were creepy.
Laz kind of moves over to Billy and kind of grabs him, kind of, a little roughly by the shoulder, and kind of gives him a little bit of a good shake. Hey, tenderfoot.
As you grab at him, I would like you to make a flight check. Actually, let me check something real quick.
He's about to give you such a
The
bat.
Highlands.
Oh, by the way, don't forget to mark down your adversity token if you didn't.
Oh yeah,
pass
that's right.
that
Don't
one.
forget that if you
Oh,
fail,
thanks, Tamiko.
that's right.
if you fail, you earn adversity tokens.
So I
Thank
got that
you.
back. Even on one that you use an adversity token on, right?
Sure. For now, I'll say that. I don't actually remember the answer to that. I'm trying to find a section. So
I didn't bring that up because I thought you had failed, Jeremy. I just want to.
No,
Make
I
that
did
very
the previous one. So
Yeah.
thank you.
all right.
Please.
So
Every time I fail, Tamiko, I want you to remind me, and it's not rubbing it in. You have blanket permission. Well,
Yeah,
Jake is
I think
looking
it's gonna
something
be-
up. Check
it's-
us out on spring.com.
it's gonna be a flight check, I think.
So I have a 5 total.
You're liking those 5s, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out real low, real close to the bottom.
Power 5.
Kind of my strategy.
So
Okay, out.
I bragged about how I marked my book before we started, and I still can't find what I'm looking for because the section I'm looking for isn't marked. Okay, here we go. So that's going to be a flight. So you got a 5. Okay. Billy, as you reach out and touch him, he acts very startled. Like if you had just suddenly snuck up behind a cat, and he swirls around and takes a slash at you with his hand, swiping at you. And you just manage to kind of pull back out of the way, and he scrambles out of the chair and scurries around to the back towards one of the back corners of the shop.
Fuck.
A couple of cats take off with him.
Has he got rabies or something? He kind of looks to the
What was
others.
that about?
Real quick. So we've got Coop, Jessica, and Laz are all sort of to the right-hand side, midway into the shop, because that's where Billy was.
Mm-hmm.
Rosie's over near the checkout, the cash register where you've stuffed your comic book into your bag.
Uh-huh.
Where are you, Oak? Are you still back
Oak
by the
was
comic
getting-
books?
Oak was getting his stuff together to go check out, so he's probably got all of his stuff that he can possibly carry. And he's like waddling his way up to he was probably waddling his way up to the cash register when all of this went down. And so he's like, he hears it, and you hear this clatter of like all the stuff that he had in his hands, being like, what do I got to do? What do I got to look at? Like, what's happening right now? And would Rosie and I, if I was right behind Rosie-ish, would I have seen Billy from our perspective? Like,
It's
if
an
I was,
open.
like,
It's
in line?
it's an open shop. Every one of you were in a position that you would be
We
able
all
to see
everybody.
Billy take
Okay.
a swipe at Laz and suddenly just scramble around behind some shelves.
What in the hell
So-
is that about?
So I don't know what to do right now. I think Oak is kind of in this state of shock. Like, he doesn't really carry a weapon, so he's gonna like clamor for. Let me see what I've got. He's gonna clamor for his. I think I've got a flashlight in here. I
perfect.
do have a flashlight in here. Yes. So he'll pull the flashlight and then just like hold it backwards because it's daytime, right? We're still in. It's not nighttime. It's not the evening.
It's daytime.
So-
it's like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And
So he'll just pull like his flashlight, but he'll pull it like handle backwards. You know.
Mhm.
And then he'll look at the ladies. Is this normal for your shop?
Does this happen all
you
the
see them kind of looking back and forth to one another, and then you sort of see all of you in this back section of the store. You hear sort of a and a cat jumps up suddenly onto one of the shelves, and you see one of the other shelves just sort of go like maybe Billy has bumped up against it. And then you see as suddenly there's a scrambling sound, several books topple off of one of the shelves, and you just catch sight of the top of Billy's head and his shoulders as he ducks back in the back right hand corner of the shop between where there's some like posters, music and movie posters and stuff on the wall. One of those like racks where you can like shift through the posters and see which one you want. There's a curtain that was hanging down, like a crimson curtain to the back room, and you see that curtain just sort of go as Billy ducks into the back room.
What the fuck? Can we run back there and get our friend? We don't know him super well. Maybe I don't know. Is he having like a medical thing or something? Is he?
It's a very peculiar activity for even a teenager. Please go check on your friend.
Yeah, sorry about this. And Rosie would kind of just make her way back and check it out. At least I don't know if anybody's coming. I hope others are coming.
I will pursue with you, but I can't stop doing the normal things that I was planning on doing, which is buying the things and being a good citizen. So
you had all the pamphlets, right?
I had the pamphlets. I had another book that I was gonna give Coop. I had 2 comic books, one for myself and one for Laz. Like I had things in my hands, and like I was like trying to struggle to get them over there.
And
so I was like,
the one woman just looks at you and says, "Go see to your friend, and I can check you out when you get back."
Thank you kindly, ma'am. I'll be back.
Leave him on the counter.
He unceremoniously jumps along the counter and just like takes the flashlight out, flips it around so that it's facing forward, because if they're going to go in a back room, he wants to have it ready. And then he'll go. Does Jessica still have his Polaroid?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So he's just gonna dip behind with everyone, following Rosie in pursuit.
So is everybody's heading into the back room to see where Billy's going to? Perfect.
Yeah, I think Laz might be like the last to go. He's actually kind of like eyeing the front door, wanting to get out of here. And
okay,
when he realizes
Stop.
that the rest of them are kind of going.
Stop with that.
Oh.
As
You
everybody
stop right
heads, as everybody is heading through this curtain, and Laz, you sort of are waiting until I imagine probably one of the last before you is Oak, chasing after Jessica, as the rest of them head into the back room. You start to move through the curtains, and you stop, kind of holding it open and looking back towards the front door, where you see the first woman that spoke, that you talked to. She is standing by the door, and you see her turning the "come on in, we're open" sign to closed.
Oh,
And goes,
no.
and one of the other ones is at the front of the store where there were some blinds and shades, and she's going,
Oh.
and the shades are pulling down, and it's getting so even less light is coming into the place, and the only light is coming from these swag lamps. What do you do, Laz?
He kind of watches this, and it kind of stops him in his tracks for a second. He kind of screws up his forehead. What the fuck? Kind of shakes his head, and he ducks through the curtain.
As Laz ducks through the curtain, you catch one of the... You're not sure which one is speaking, but you hear, "Well, sisters, it's happening again." And that's where we're going to take a break.
No. It's not good. It's not good.
All right. Well, we got a little bit of a late start, but we're going to kind of stick with our usual schedule. So we're going to go ahead and take about a 10-minute break. And when we come back, we will continue with this adventure. In the meantime, stick around and we will see you on the other side. And we're back. As you all head back into the back room, you pass through the curtain and you find yourself squeezing through boxes that are stacked up on either side. They seem to be stacked almost impossibly high. And they're close enough that as you're moving through this stack down a hallway that seems to be made of these boxes, you occasionally have to turn sideways. The boxes are so close together. And you keep going.
You guys, this hallway is impossibly long.
They do have a lot of stuff in here. Not to freak anybody out or anything, but I think I saw one of the old broads lock the door, and they closed the curtains on the front window. So I don't know if maybe we should try to get out of here, or
So, in the interest of being honest, I will say that a fear that Rosie has, and I have written down, is claustrophobia. How does that affect what we're doing here?
Well, the primary way that is going to affect is initially roleplay.
Okay.
But if you have to make any rolls, not necessarily any rolls, but I will let you know if there's a certain roll that has to be done, it will be a snap decision, meaning you cannot get aid from anybody. And it just makes it a little bit more difficult because you don't have time so much to plan and figure out how you're going to do it. You have to make a snap decision, where yeah.
Okay. Just being honest. Yeah, as we're making our way through this freaking labyrinth of boxes, you hear Rosie once or twice go just like take like some really deep breaths.
As a reminder, and for the audience as well, we're still sort of learning this system. On any roll, you can choose to, instead of rolling, take half the value of what your die is. When you are taking a snap decision, that wouldn't have mattered on the one roll, Jeremy, because you had to roll max to succeed. But you can do that unless you are subject to a fear. You cannot take half, you have to roll. Now, since you are... Does anybody else have a claustrophobia fear? So Oak is also struggling in this tight space?
Yes, indeed.
I would like...
Attaboy, Chad. High five.
I would like the two of you to roll your grit die.
Okay.
I don't even know what number that is supposed to be for me, so give me a moment.
Oh, okay. That's not good. I have a question. So I have a trait called Cool Under Pressure.
Strength?
Strength. Yeah. I apologize. Cool Under Pressure. It allows me to take half of my die on this exact thing.
Yeah, this is not subject to this is not a snap decision.
Correct.
I will let you know. So in this case, I just need you to roll the die.
Okay. I rolled the die and it's not half, but I guess I gotta be honest. So it's a 3.
So sometimes I'm going to have you make a roll when there's more than one of you subject to a condition. It's kind of an initiative roll. I'm just going to see who's.
Okay, gotcha. 3.
And what'd you get, Chad? You're muted.
Different setup. Okay. No, I am getting ready to roll right now.
God bless. While Chad is rolling, feel free to check us out on spring.com. At spring.com, we have all kinds of new t-shirt designs and stuff.
It's a 4 on a 6. So
Okay.
4 on a
And you got a 3, Carrie?
I got a 3.
So lowest number is going to be the one that I'm going to turn to. So Rosie,
Okay.
as you are walking through this hall constructed of cardboard boxes, you've been in it long enough that it just seems too long.
Yeah.
You also are feeling like, as from your perspective, as you're seeing these boxes, there seems to be a bit of light, like if daylight was streaming through a high window and causing light to sort of filter down. You can't quite pinpoint the source of light. It's kind of like in the movies when it's dark but not really dark. There's that sort of bluish light. These boxes are towering high, and as you glance up, they seem to close in above your head. And as you are continuing to move through, you feel like you keep having to turn sideways, and as you do so, it's like you can barely fit through. You feel a box pressing against your back. You remember that scene in Ghostbusters when they are told, clear your mind, don't think of anything. What is Rosie not thinking about right now?
I would imagine at some point in their childhood, Rosie and her brother have, like when they were very young, played like in the snow. And at one point, of course, as Michigan kids, we would climb to the top of like snow mounds, like in parking lots and whatnot. And there was one time when they were young, that Rosie like fell down into one. And for a time was just stuck like a cork too far down in a bottle. And her brother was able to fish her out, but for just a minute, it was the scariest thing that has ever happened to her. Because like, and again, this is kind of a Michigan thing, but like bad things happen sometimes to kids in those situations. And that's like, it's something you're not supposed to, everybody's parents say, don't play on top of the snowmounds. But anyway, so that happened, and that's kind of stuck with her more than she is willing to admit.
As you are essentially in the middle of this group, it seems like Laz and Oak have trailed further and further behind you. And Coop and Jessica, chasing after Billy, have gotten further ahead of you. And you feel the boxes seem to get closer and closer. And you notice that it's getting harder to step. And you look down and you see that you are in knee-deep snow.
Shit. Okay.
Now, I need you as well. First, let me back up a second. What do you do as you see this snow suddenly?
This all becomes like very dreamlike, and like obviously if this was literally happening you would kind of panic, but Rosie almost is like has like a mechanical like just kind of trying to continue forward, so she finds herself kind of like trying to climb on top of the snow, like take big steps to get on top of it again. And I don't know how well that's going for her.
Well, let's have you make a... Let's have you make a brawn roll.
Okay, here I go. Can I know the DC ahead of time?
No, it's not normal that I'll tell you the DC.
Okay, I just figured I'd ask. Here we go. We're taking a risk.
Sometimes I will, but not always.
God, it's a 5. Fuck. Oh boy.
You are... used to trudging through snow in Michigan, and you know to take bigger, slower steps in the snow this deep, and that's exactly what you start to do. And you start taking these bigger steps so that you can step over the snow instead of being caught down inside of it. And you hear above you what sounds like... It sounds like ice cracking and sliding down a roof. You know, when the sun starts to heat up and the big ice chunks start to break loose and they slide down and they crash into another part of the roof. You hear that sound above your head. And as you look up, you see a massive, what has to be hundreds of pounds ice chunk falling towards you. Now I need you to make a check, and this is going to be either a brawn check or a flight check.
Okay.
You choose.
Okay. Brawn, please. I will choose brawn. Here we go. Alrighty. Okay. That's okay. That's a little better. That's an 8. Okay. So strong, yeah.
What do you do as how is it that you're trying to get out of the way of this falling ice chunk?
I imagine like Rosie does have like a moment of like flight, fight, or freeze, and freezes for a second, but then she kind of continues. So is there a way forward still?
Yep.
Like, that would avoid this? Okay. Rosie, I guess, would kind of see this coming, snap out of it, and like dash forward, continue to try to wiggle forward more quickly through this like tunnel kind of.
Laz and Oak, you see ahead of you that Rosie, as you're moving through this corridor of boxes, the boxes are spaced wide enough that an adult can go through here without any problem whatsoever. You figure this is the back storage room that these women use, and so it's big enough for them, for middle-aged adults of medium-build women to be able to navigate through. But Rosie, for some reason, is keeping to the center and keeps like turning sideways. You see her ahead of you a little ways, and then strangely she starts taking these very like high stepping, like she's trying to step over something. And then you see her suddenly look up and move almost in slow motion, like she's trudging through something. And you watch as a box from on high comes toppling down, knocks a couple other boxes, and you see Rosie get clocked in the back of the shoulders, and Rosie, you fall prone on the ground as a cardboard box falls down and hits you, and a bunch of either comic books or magazines. You're not sure. They just come spilling out of the now broken box, skittering across the floor. Coop and Jessica, you hear this commotion behind you, and you see Rosie get laid out on the floor by a box.
I imagine that the way it went down is we're walking, and Coop's like, so many boxes. I wonder if the Ark's in here. Oh, top men. And then suddenly,
men.
kaboosh, hears the crash, turns around. Oh my God. And goes running
shit.
over to Rosie.
And Rosie's
Yeah,
just kind of like trying to
It's the
stand.
same.
Mhm.
Shit. You okay,
Oh
Curveball?
my gosh.
God. Oh, fuck. That really hurt. That was heavy. That's a dense box.
As you shift, multiple of these, whatever this magazine is, are sort of spilling over your shoulder and kind of cascading around you as you extricate yourself from this.
Yeah.
And you and anybody around you, well, Jessica, what are you doing? Do you go back and check on
Are
them?
you okay?
Oh my god. No. Jessica is going to. She looks back. She sees that, like, the three are taking care of Rosie. So she's going to continue on to try and continue after Billy.
Excellent. I mean, perfect. So
That's not better.
We'll come back to you in a moment. Then, as the rest of you are sort of gathered around, and Rosie, you're pulling yourself out of this this mess. You can see now, Rosie, around you, the perfectly spaced out. There's a good like 4, almost 5 feet of space between the boxes here.
That's almost exactly how Rosie reacts. She stands up, and you guys are noticing that she seems like a little more affected by getting hit with this box than she should be, and she is kind of going like, okay.
Rosie,
And- yeah.
are you okay? Are you
Yeah.
concussed?
No, I'm not. I'm fine. It hit me on the back, not the shoulder. I'm fine. And then Rosie's like one more kind of like deep breath. She's like, I'm fine. Where did Jessica go?
Oak, you see at your feet one of these magazines, and you see on the cover of it, written in what appears to be these sort of comically green glowing letters that look like dripping slime almost, it says "Strange Tales," and then in a serif font underneath it, it just says, or a sans serif font beneath it, it says, "And Otherworldly Stories."
Oh, cool.
And it looks to be some kind of an anthology magazine, and there was just a bunch of them. They all appear to be the same thing.
Snatch and keep for later reading. Like
You pick it up and you see on the cover, in typical old school anthology fashion, it's got some kind of really highly illustrated artwork on the front. Inside, it's a digest style, black and white newsprint. But the artwork on the front shows what looks like a corridor of skeletal looking trees. And you see a figure of a man-like figure that's sort of looking like it's in mid-stride and sort of like it's turned a little bit like this, looking right at you. And it's got an elongated face and hands curled. And beneath it, it says, "The Amazing Tales of the Michigan Dogman."
Oak will temper his excitement for the moment, finding this trinket of occult goodness, and he will tend to his friends around him, but he'll definitely like put that in the bag and kind of like look. I think there's this moment, this bookshelf moment of like, looking to Laz, as Laz is the one that got caught doing it. We're in a back room. No one's seeing me. So Oak's like,
Atta boy.
just tuck it under the shirt, call it a day, and then
I like to
good.
imagine it's overly comically like. Ooh.
Yes.
We're good.
Tucking it under the arm, under the jacket, holding it. All of a sudden, this arm doesn't move because you're holding it against you.
You know who saw you do it? Laz saw you do it.
And you look to Laz for approval.
Pink Panther waddle out, just like, don't get me.
Laz gives him a little bit of a light elbow.
And
Nice.
you all look up and you realize Jessica and Billy are nowhere to be found.
Oh God.
Jessica, you have come to the end of the impossibly long corridor of boxes. And you see what looks to be additional storage that has old displays for different types of like comic books and movies and books and things like that. And there's some for a moment you turn and it looks like maybe there's somebody standing there as you see the figure of one of those cardboard standees of Han Solo pointing a blaster at you. And you see some old Christmas decoration, boxes of Christmas decorations and Valentine's decorations and just all different holiday stuff. And you see off to one side, you see the back wall appears to be made of cinder block and brick, and there is a metal door with a non-working light but an exit sign above it. And next to it, there is a wooden flight of stairs that lead up to a second level. And you hear the sound of a creaking floor coming from up those stairs, as if somebody just went up them.
Yeah. During this time, as Jessica's moved forward, she's like, Billy, snap the gum. Billy, snap it again. And then she paused, and then she like looks around. She like begins to
smart cookie.
and then and then she hears the creaking coming from upstairs, and she starts walking up, and she's like, if you scare me, Billy, I swear to God, I am not responsible for what happens to you.
There's no response from upstairs.
Yeah, she's like, this like super isn't funny. As she like continues to go up the stairs.
As you begin walking up the stairs, they go up along the side of the brick wall, and they're wooden stairs, and there's a wooden railing, and we lost Tamiko. And as you are going up this, I have to wait till Tamiko gets back to fix the windows, but we all know the drill.
I am still here.
You hear that as you step on the creaky stairs, and turning to your left, you see you can just see the exit of this corridor of boxes, and there is a wooden wall where when you get to the top of the stairs, you can see it turns back and it looks like it's going to go back over top the second floor, over top of the area that you came through initially. And when you get to the top of the stairs, there's a little bit of a balcony there, and to your left is an open doorway with darkness on the other side.
Ooh, darkness. Exciting. Jessica, she like sighs, but like this is like you owe me like an ice cream or something, because this isn't funny and I'm not into looking around this dusty old place. She's like continuing to just talk, and you're not sure whether it's because she's trying to talk to Billy or because she's trying to comfort herself, as she starts going through the door, I guess.
Oh god.
As you pass through the door, do you look for a light switch, or what are you doing as you go through?
Oh yeah, she's looking for any some type of light switch.
I would like you to roll me a brains check.
Oh good.
Jessica's thing.
That's something she's real good at.
Yeah.
Real good.
I like how I have to keep rolling charm, and Jessica has to keep rolling brains.
It's
Wait a
almost
second.
like I know what you're not good at.
Yeah, right.
I did roll a 6 actually, which is
Wow.
Okay.
as high as I could go.
Well, that was the DC, was a 6.
No.
So you hit
Let's
it
go,
dead
Jessica.
on.
Wait, did you say it was? You said it was the highest you could go on a D6?
Yeah.
They explode.
Oh!
Roll again, Jessica.
Well,
Roll again, Jessica.
once you hit the DC, there's no need to explode.
Oh,
She
never
got a
mind.
4. So.
But I mean, you can because yes, they
Ah.
do. Oh, here we go. Tamiko's back.
Yay. And isn't there like a bonus if you
all right.
beat a DC by a certain amount too?
Well,
Like you
depending on how much you beat it by, on your rolls, once you've hit the DC, you stop rolling. But if you rolled and then you exploded and you went over it by a certain amount because of your roll, for example, if Jessica had a D20 in that skill, she could have gone way over the like super high. But
Gotcha.
I mean, in this case, it's a there we go. In this case, it's a matter of just looking for the light switch. Jessica, you reach over almost instinctively to the right-hand side where you would expect there to be a light switch. You don't find a traditional up and down light switch flip, but being as it's the 80s and a lot of places would have some older style electrical wiring and stuff, it's not too surprising that it's instead a rotating switch that you have to turn. In that moment, when you turn the switch for the light to come on, what is the last thing, not that you expect, but the last thing you want to see when the light comes on?
Oh god.
Like
you
something
know,
reasonable or
you're-
something unreasonable.
you're
Like,
in-
The girl from the
So
ring. That
you're a
Yeah, right.
16-year-old girl. Already weird stuff starting to happen. You're a 16-year-old girl, 16-year-old young person that has just gone up some rickety stairs in the back room of a strange bookshop in an unfamiliar town, walked into a dark room, and you're about to turn the lights on to a place you've never been before. In this moment, it doesn't matter how far-fetched you think it is. I just want to know, what is the last thing Jessica is hoping to see when she turns on the light?
ooh.
You've just asked M to think of like the worst case scenario, and this terrifies me.
I think Jessica hates dogs. So I imagine the last thing Jessica would want to see alone in an attic is a huge black, like midnight black dog.
As you turn the switch and the light snaps on, if you look in our chat, you'll see exactly what you see.
Fuck!
Which is not to say that you see the creature. You see, though, for a moment, it absolutely looks like you are standing face to face with a hunched over creature, and it takes a moment for you to see the lettering written in dripping blood red letters across the top that says The Legend of Michigan Dogman, and then you see the strange tales and otherworldly stories. You didn't see the magazine. You are essentially looking at a large promotional cardboard poster of this book. In that same moment, the door behind you slams shut behind you. And we cut downstairs to where the rest of you hear from up ahead somewhere the sound of a door slamming.
Oh shit. Did
The direction that Jessica went.
Rosie has like just asked, I imagine at that moment, did anyone see where Jessica went? And then we hear thwam. Like, well,
Jessica's going to scream. I don't know if you hear that.
And
as well,
you hear Jessica scream.
again. It's the same high pitched,
Slightly muffled,
very
but
loud.
definitely loud enough for you all to hear it.
Rosie takes off like a shot, like towards that. Also partially because she wants to get the fuck out of tight space land.
Yeah, John.
Pursue!
Laz is gonna follow. Yep.
All right, so everybody's taking off.
Team Hot Pursuit.
Does either Coop or Oak slip on these very laminated magazines?
Yes,
Oh,
Coop
100%.
does because thank you, Carrie. Yes, Coop does because one of my flaws is clumsy.
I was just thinking there's nothing more slippery than a magazine. Like a good housekeeping will be the death of you.
Coop, I would like you... Oh, I might have that in my other set of stuff. I would like you to just make a flight check.
It's always flight. It's always flight, Jake. That's my worst stat. Shockingly. Think I'd be better at it at this point. Okay, so that is a 2.
All right. DC what? The DC was 3.
Shit.
And
Shit.
no big deal. You slip on these magazines and you fall. You do that thing where, remind me, does Coop wear glasses?
No.
If you had glasses, they would have popped off your face and gone skittering across the floor. But you go to take off after the others, and you take a step, and your feet just go out from under you, and you fall right on your chest and knock the wind out of yourself for a moment. You just... I don't know if everybody here has knocked the wind out of themselves at some
That's
point
the
or had
worst
the wind
feeling.
knocked out. Yeah, it's awful. But other than, I feel like Coop is probably a little bit used to this, being a clumsy fellow. It's only a couple breaths that you struggle, and then you're like, as you see the
Not his
others
first rodeo.
taking off after you, a little bit of that Dutch angle, tilted camera as the others go taking off running towards Jessica's scream.
And
Cool.
he just scrambles to try to catch up because now he's in the back.
Rosie and Laz, you get to the stairs. You see this back room. You see the Han Solo. You see the other displays. You see that there is a door that leads outside. and you see that there is a set of stairs that lead up to a small balcony and turn to the left. And you can just make out in the shadow up there that there is a door. You don't know which door you heard slam.
I would
Where does
yell
she
out,
go?
Jessica?
Is that her name?
Yes, she said it. I'm sure she did.
Jessica, you can hear, you suddenly hear Rosie calling your name from the other side of the door.
Is that her name? Dude, continuity. I am so proud of you, Jeremy. She might not have told us her name. We're gonna pretend she did.
You all absolutely heard the old lady said you must be Jessica.
Jessica, there we go. See?
I
So
figured
it's
it was
fine.
a safe bet that Laz was not paying attention.
Right. That was
Fair,
perfect. Is that
fair.
her name?
I vaguely remember also, and I'm Jessica.
Incredible. So yeah, I would yell out.
Yeah, Jessica's gonna like. I think Jessica's like frozen for like when you are so scared that the like your fingers get really cold and like your whole extremities just like freeze up and she can't think or do or say anything. She's like frozen for like a few minutes, and then she like her brain slowly registers what she saw, and she just like breathes, and she's gonna do a quick look around the room before she responds to Rosie to see if she can see Billy.
You are standing in a rather sparsely appointed attic space. In fact, one of the only things that you see is just this display stand, a couple rolled up posters, a couple random magazines of the same kind lying on the ground, and they appear to have been put in here just inside the door. The rest of the space you see is lit by incandescent bulbs hanging from the ceiling about 12 feet above. And it's very dimly lit, bare wood. You see ages of dust accumulated. You can even see around you in the dust, you see the little tiny marks of where mice and or rats or cats have scurried around. But the further ahead, at least half the room is in total darkness. The light does not extend in there. There's no lights on in there. And that's what you see.
I'm gonna say again, a little less annoyed and loud. Billy? See if she can.
You hear a floorboard creak about 30, 40 feet away in the darkness, in the dark part of the attic.
Nope, that's it. Jessica cannot take that. That is the last straw. As all of a sudden, all of you hear this as she like runs to the door, tries to open it.
As you turn to the door, you see that it is a green door with a brass handle. And you begin yanking on the door, and it's not opening.
Oh no!
You hear a scream. You hear the scream of Jessica, and you hear at the top of the stairs, you hear the door rattling. You hear that as somebody is trying to open the door at the top of the stairs.
I guess I would probably figure that it's Jessica, and I would go up there, and I look at Laz for a second, imagining for a second that he's probably stronger just because he's a boy, but then I kind of look at him and I'm like, ugh, and I go up there and I'm like, I'm gonna try to push the door open.
So, first off, as you get to the top of the stairs, you now see, once you're up there, you see a white framed green door with a brass handle, identical looking to the one you saw at the bottom of the grave.
And on all our grandparents' houses, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And the doorknob is just going.
So yeah, I'm just gonna like kind of go through the like Rosie, is it locked? Or sorry,
You're
I'm
Rosie.
Jessica, is it locked? I forgot my name. It's been such a scary afternoon.
Identity crisis.
Jessica, you hear from the other side. You hear.
Oh, nope. Jessica is away from, like, she's like, she doesn't know where to go. She like flies back from the door, but now she see that it's like dark. I think she would burst into tears and sink down on like to the ground and kind of clutch her knees and like bury her face into her knees.
Rosie is slamming her shoulder into this door.
What are the rest of you doing? It's Rosie's up there like Inigo trying to slam himself against the door, chasing the six-fingered man.
Catching up to everybody, amigo, because, you know, it's real hard when you've got like 2 or 3 left feet.
Well, at this point, you can all see, looking up the stairs, you see Rosie battering against this door. And Rosie, give me a brawn check.
Okay.
What's your brawn die?
Brawn die is 12, and I have a +1. I think it's.
By the way, Brawn die is a great fantasy character name that I just
Brawn
realized.
die.
Brawn
Yes.
die.
That's our next NPC.
Brawn die
I
the
love
barbarian.
Brawn die.
You know what? I am gonna go ahead and just take that. So because I have a +1, if I take the half, is that automatically a 7? Because I get the 6 + 1.
Yes.
Sick. I'm gonna take that. I think
All right.
7 will be enough. This is an old wooden door.
You slam into the door, and Jessica, as you've curled up, arms wrapped around your knees, and you're. Did you say you were crying, or you're just huddling?
Oh no, she's crying.
Oh, you hear the door, but it sounds like it's echoing in slow motion. And to your other side, you hear like a slow motion floor creak. And these sounds are closing in on either side of you. Rosie, that is not enough for you to break open the door.
What?
By this point, somebody else could catch up if you were running up the stairs. And Jessica, I would like a grit check from you. This is, you cannot take half, and but you can use adversity tokens to boost your roll if you want. What is your grit die?
D4.
Oh no.
Hey, I got a 4. Wow.
Okay, so it explodes.
Again.
That's a 2, so 6.
So 6 total?
Mm-hmm.
So gritty.
All right, so that's you are almost trying to think of how best to describe it. It's when I was a child, I was terrified of thunderstorms. I would wake up in the middle of the night. I knew going to my parents was no good because they would just tell me, it's just a storm. And so I would grab my blue teddy bear and I would huddle under my blanket. And the storm could be 10 minutes. It could be 30 minutes. To my little kid mind, it was hours long. It was at max intensity and it never felt like it was going to end. And I didn't think I was going to make it through the night. That is what you are feeling in this moment as you are trapped between these two sources of terror that you can't reconcile in your mind, and you know you have nowhere to go. You are essentially currently paralyzed in place, sobbing.
Yep.
Rosie.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Jessica, it's in that moment where she just like, it's past the point of like your life flashing before your eyes. This is like this overwhelming dread, and so she is just sobbing and hyperventilating and is absolutely like, she feels like she is going to pass out from her inability to breathe at this moment.
I think Laz comes up, fishing something out of his back pocket. It kind of comes up to stand beside Rosie, and after she like bounces off of it with her shoulder, he's gonna kind of like put a hand out. Hold on, wait. He's gonna kneel down by the door, and what he's got in his hand is one of his guitar picks that he carries with him, and he's gonna try the credit card trick with the door.
Oh, okay.
With his guitar pick.
Okay. Let's call that a brains check.
All right. Okay, so I got a 6.
You slide the pick in next to the door jamb, and you actually, I thought I had a guitar pick, one of Zach's picks, sitting right next to me. You slide the pick in, and you're getting it in around the strike plate, and you're trying to press it against and push it against that locking mechanism and trying to slide it. The pick just has too much flex in it as you're trying to do that, and you start to move it, and then the spring is too strong and it flicks back, and you drop the pick, and it slides between the door frame and the door.
Yep.
You missed it by 1.
No, he kind of cries out as he reaches for it, trying to catch it.
Jessica, you hear and feel in the floor the sound of floorboards creaking as something or someone is getting closer to you.
God. Oh God.
Oh,
Oh God.
Okay.
I would say.
Just
Oh God. Sorry. Go. No. You.
Jessica. God. She's gonna look.
Hurry.
She's gonna look. She has to. She had like this.
What do you do when you look? Because you're huddled down. Do you like peek? Do you like do one of these? Do you just like suddenly look up?
It's like a peek. She's gonna like try through like tear, probably makeup stained eyes that are burning. She's gonna try and like peer.
Oh yeah, this is the 80s. All of your makeup is running.
There's no waterproof mascara in
Right.
the 80s.
As you peek and open your eyes, you see Billy standing in front of you, and he's crouched down. And as the door goes almost in slow motion, Billy looks over to the door, looks back at you, and goes, and then he stands up. He takes a couple steps and he holds his hand out towards you and says,
Oh my God.
Oh no.
I would like you to make another grit check.
Yeah. No shit.
Oh,
Make a
good.
sanity roll.
No.
Yeah.
That's a 2.
That's a 2 total.
Yeah.
You find yourself uncoiling from this tightly wound, being curled up, And as if in a dream, you find yourself wiping your eyes, smearing your makeup, and standing to your feet against your will. It's as if somebody else is piloting you. And you feel your hand reaching out to touch and take Billy's hand. Let's cut back to the others. Coop, Oak, what are you doing as the other two are at the top of the stairs trying to beat or pick this door?
Coop sees Rosie smash into the door, and then Laz come over and try to do something weird with the door, and then cursing, and Coop rolls up and goes, "I'm not there yet in my skills, but I could try to break the boards with my karate."
That's so much better than what I was gonna do. So yes,
Please let this work also.
Oh my god. Yes. Coop. I said, well, it's worth a shot, I guess.
So,
I bite Coop up here.
as a reminder,
I'm a yellow belt. The one above white.
As a reminder, you can use adversity tokens that you have or the domain pops to increase your roll.
Can we give them to others?
You can give your own, or however. Yes.
Do I have a limit? Because I'd like to use the 2 I earned today with my last failure.
So
if that's
I'm
possible.
just double checking on the adversity tokens because I can't remember if you're limited to. I think you can only do up to 3 maximum
in a certain roll.
In a given roll, because you can give yourself up to a maximum of +3. I'm just double checking that real quick.
What would half be for you, Tamiko?
3 it is. What?
If you took the half value,
I haven't said what the stat is yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
Fair.
So
help.
Gotta be brawn. Yeah.
this book
fight.
is not organized
fight.
very well at all. It is either. It's going to be fight because this stat determines how good a combatant a character is with whatever weapons or fighting skills you decide. So it is going to be fight. What is your die in fight?
4.
Oh, damn it.
I'm not
Tamiko.
intentionally picking your weakest skills. If
Look,
you can,
man.
and this goes for anybody. If you
By
can,
the way, for the people watching, the last time I rolled and I said it was a 4, it's because I read flight instead of fight. My flight's actually a 10.
Okay. So Rosie would kind of like almost chuckle and be like, okay, how about this? How about all 3 of us, me and you, Karate Kid, and Darth Vader? Oak, if there's room for you, you can squeeze up here. How about we all go 1, 2, 3, boof, together? I think that's our best shot.
Before you do that, Oak's gonna look around. Is there anything other than just boxes of books here? Because if I can find something where we could utilize it as a battering ram up the stairs, I want to do that. If there's like a old
make a brains check.
An old, okay, sweet, I'll do that. Brains from me is a da. Yep. Okay. Cool. So
Smart.
Then roll the. Where did my die roller? Boom. There we go. Cool. And a D. That's a D20 actually for him. So that is. Ooh, nice. I got a 16 on the die then.
Okay. Also, I'm not seeing a limit to the number of dice you can, adversity tokens you can add. So, anyway, it's a 16 on a D20.
Pretty freaking good, dude.
With that, I'm going to give you narrative control. You tell me what you found in this back room.
Okay, so Oak's getting into panic mode now because like everybody's taking off upstairs. He can clearly hear Jessica screaming. And he's like, okay, take a deep breath. figure it out. Look around the room, see what's there. Boxes. But then he just elbow checks some boxes and finds like an old magazine, like a metal magazine rack that would have been there. And it looks long enough to him that if they start from the back here, that if they all work together, they could just ram that magazine rack against the door and it should pop the lock. So he'll bring it out and it's dragging because he's not
it's absolutely you hear
it's dragging on the ground. But he found it. I got something. Now, if we all run at the door,
Going up the stairs. Ka-tunk,
Oh, hell
ka-tunk,
yeah.
ka-tunk.
Oh, hell yeah.
able to smack it.
I'm going to
That's a
say
lock,
because
at
of Oak's age and size and everything in this rack, somebody has to come down and help him bring this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would go down
Yeah.
immediately, and Laz
Oh.
apparently too.
So
Oh,
as
thank
you're
God, my foot thanks you.
and as you do that and you're running down, we cut back to the inside as Jessica, you reach out against your will and you take Billy's hand. As your hand touches Billy's, in the attic, you see in that dark section, lights begin to illuminate down to what seems to be infinity. And you see on either side of the attic now, in the walls, they're no longer just this bare wood. You see where the light is spilling. These are fluorescent lights that have illuminated. And these are white walls and a white ceiling. And about every 15 feet on either side is a green door with a brass handle.
Oh my God.
As far as you can see. And Billy begins to pull you, not like forcefully, but just holding your hand, begins to lead you down this hallway.
God, is Billy the BBEG? Like, Bill.
This is what
Bill's
happens
the
when you
first
miss a
boss
session.
battle.
Yeah.
If I ever have to miss for a track meet or something, don't make me evil, please. God damn. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So
Yeah, you hear like the hiccuping, you know, like after you've had like a really big cry, you have that like kind of like as like Jessica's being led by Billy.
Jessica, you sense something and feel something rub against your ankles. And glancing down, I forget what you named it, smushy or squishy.
Snuggles.
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 Let me consult my notes. It is Snuffles.
Snuffles.
Thank you, Tamiko.
You see the gray cat Snuffles is walking alongside you. And you just, as you glance down, you just see the cat glance up at you and you just get that sort of chittery.
Yeah, for a second, like a calmness comes across Jessica. You know? She's like, well, this must be fine.
The rest of you, you've got the magazine rack up there and you're attempting to use them. Who all is participating? So, Karate Kid, you've stepped out of the way to let them do their thing.
Well, it depends on how much room there is. If there's
Enough room that all of you, two on the side, could
We
grab
got a
this
battering
magazine
ram
rack.
now.
Basically,
Because, you
everybody
know-
that's participating, it's a single DC, and all of you will add your totals together towards this DC. You will all be
sense.
using your brawn ability.
Shockingly, my brawn is a 12.
It's like all that karate.
You are equally strong as Rosie. Look at
I-
you,
I-
Karate Kid.
Can't explain it.
I've known little kids that seem to be tougher than they look.
I got an 11 on my brawn.
Okay.
6.
So 11 and 6, we're at 17.
I'll bring an 8 to the table.
So 25.
I got a 2.
It's 27.
The nice thing about the battering ram method is no one really knows who's contributing what. We are all pushing equally. We all lift together.
You all drawing on your knowledge from probably equal parts of Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner and any action / fantasy movies, whatever else you may have seen. Grabbing this magazine rack and just giving it a little wind up, and then you all just, as you're all gathering together and setting up this, and you begin to wind up to take the shot. It's almost like it's going in slow motion. Jessica, you and the cat are following Billy, and there's no discernible reason why Billy has stopped, but he turns and he looks to the right and he looks to the left, and on either side of you is a green door with a brass handle, and he holds out his hands for you to choose one of the 2 doors.
Oh my god.
Jessica's gonna look down at the cat. Is there any indication from the cat where it wants to go?
The cat is looking at you.
Okay. I'm gonna roll. Just going to the left.
Wow.
You turn to the left. Do you reach out to open the door?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You reach out and you turn the knob. And we see the camera sort of shifts for a moment to where we see just green door. And we're seeing like from the perspective of inside whatever this space is, as the door opens outward into the hallway. And we see you standing there, and Billy standing behind you, and the cat at your feet, as a blinding white light spills over you. There's a tremendous crashing sound as the other 4 kids slam the magazine rack into the door. The door breaks away like balsa wood. It gives almost no resistance whatsoever. And the 4 of you go tumbling through the doorway, spilling over one another and tripping over top of this magazine rack as you all spill out onto the hot sand of the beach. And you look up and behind you, and you are at the base of the Candle Point Lighthouse on Paradise Beach. And that's where we're going to end this session.
What? What?
Jake's using that laugh a lot.
Yeah. Wow. What? Wow. Wow.
Well, okay.
I love this
And
so much.
just as a little point of note, just to clarify, it's just the 4 of you. There's no Billy. There's no Jessica.
Oh no.
We've lost 2 party members. We're on the beach,
split the
though.
party.
We split the party.
That's what,
Didn't
if
take
you
long.
remember when I said excellent, when Em said Jessica's just going to keep going.
Jessica's
I'm like,
just keep
oh,
going.
okay.
Oh.
Mistakes were made. It's fine.
You know what? Maybe mistakes or memories.
Memories.
Is this an example of type 2 fun?
as my mind is wiped.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back as a cat
Oh,
somewhere
man.
in the universe.
Oh my god.
Wow, it doesn't appear that any of my usuals are online, so okay. Quick reminder, as we get ready to head out of here, it's not even a reminder. I guess I'm just telling you. Next Friday, not tomorrow, but next Friday, tune into Nerdarchy for the final episode of Untraditionally Arcane with Ted as our GM. As we are wrapping that campaign, and we will be coming back in the following month with a whole new campaign, a whole new GM. Very much looking forward. Same group of players. Ted's going to be a player. Somebody else is going to GM. That's on Nerdarchy on YouTube on Friday the 21st. Head on over here 8:30 or 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday night to catch the next episode of the Scribes and Scrolls to see what we got cooking over there. And then second Wednesday of the month rather. We will be doing our Lawlerville. We just wrapped session 2 of that. We've got another Pathfinder game coming up soon. So yeah, just go ahead and follow if you're not already following. Subscribe on YouTube.
Just do it.
Hit the bell. Get notified. Just do that. It's the easiest way. And if you're not sure if you can remember, head over to spring.com and check out the Mini Terrain domain store. Get yourself some MTD swag. That way when you look down and you go, oh yeah, MTD, there's some shows I should be watching. But thank you everybody who tuned in, whether you're watching with us live or you're watching the VOD later. I'm having a blast with this group of players. This is a very unique kind of game. And hopefully you guys all are having fun. Yeah, thank you everybody who tuned in. If you're somebody that's lurking in the chat and you just want to listen along, we appreciate you all the same and hope you enjoy our presentation. Thank you to everybody who supported with bits and with subs and all that good stuff. We appreciate that as well. And a huge thank you, of course, as always, to these amazing players. Thank you to Tamiko and Jeremy and Carrie and Em and Chad. And though, well, Dwight hasn't been with us yet, but he will be. And though Ted wasn't with us, he was with us in spirit. But thank you to all of you, without whom this would have just been me talking to myself for a couple of hours. We're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
We're in danger.
Hate sand.